Hello, hello. Thank you for stopping by for a look. I've recently expanded my 80s home PC collection. I found a beautiful looking Atari 800 XL system on eBay. It was an as-is sold system with no cables or anything, but it was less than $100 and that includes shipping. When I got it, it looked better than the images online. We're talking no plastic discoloration. It still had plastic on those metal side keys. I know it's a roll of the dice on eBay, of course, but this one really worked out. Even with no power supply cables, peripherals, or games being untested, I figured it would either be an electronics project or, if I got lucky, a working machine. When it arrived, I was really impressed with the condition, and the only thing that really was missing was the decal on the top, which is something I ordered off of Etsy for only a few bucks. They came from Poland, and they sent me 2. Sweet! To get this game tested and working, I had to go and buy some cables. I went to 8bitclassics.com. They sell video cables and modern power cords, something that is much smaller than the gigantic brick that this system originally shipped with. And the plug was angled to fit better into a power strip. What a great idea! Oh my gosh, I wish more manufacturers did this. This was awesome. This is something I actually was hoping they would have done for the Commodore 64 power supply, because this thing is a crazy beast. For this system, I'm actually sending the video signal to composite, and then I route that through an HDMI converter. It produces a very usable signal on a monitor. I know there are options for upgrading the video signal on machines like this, but I haven't really decided if I wanted to do this or not. I kind of don't want to solder anything to the board. If it's not broken, why mess with it? And then I went on a tear, and I bought a bunch of books for the system. And I'm finding certain books are getting much harder to find. A few years back, you could get books dirt cheap. And programming books in particular, it seemed like they couldn't give them away. You go back to when they have a lot of online booksellers or even half.com, things were 50 cents, $1 a piece. Now I only have eBay. And those sellers are, a lot of them anyway, are out of their minds trying to sell books at markup. I was surprised at so many books people were trying to sell for $50 to $100 or more. This is absolutely crazy to me. For a machine with basically a dead programming language, and you can actually get all of these for free if you go to archive.org. They've been digitized. I can't recommend that site enough. It's a great resource. But I wanted paper books. This is what they would have been like when I was a kid, and I kind of went a little nuts over the past 2 months just collecting these. You can get some good deals online if you pay attention and you wait. Or, I find if you make a reasonable offer on the auctions that have the make an offer on their listing. In my case, I made some reasonable offers, waited on a few, and I got a couple of lots, so I got a bunch of different books here. Book on Atari Basic, which is a teaching guide. This one's pretty yellowed, and it's really more of a workbook. I guess for a 40-year-old book, it's holding up okay, but not that awesome a shape. Got an Atari Basic book by Richard Haskell. It's just basic instruction. Atari XL User's Handbook, one of those general books. First couple chapters are pretty simple. How to plug in your computer, stuff like that. But then it goes into basic programming. Atari for the Beginning Beginner, which actually has an odd construction. It's got this spiral at the top of the book, and it's got this weird wraparound cover. It was a little worn, but I wrapped it in some tape to make it a little more sturdy. I don't know, it might help. I have Your Atari Computer. It's definitely deeper than the others, it seems, but mostly seems to focus on deeper into programming basic. Pages for error codes and stuff like that, some sprite information. That should be fun. Then I got a few programming books that weren't really focused on a specific computer, but computers that use BASIC in general. Back in the day, they used to do this to allow for a wider audience for the books. Considering a ton of the 80s PCs used some form of BASIC or Microsoft BASIC, these types of books would generally work with a little bit of tweaking from time to time. They all make games of some kind, but most of these we're talking are text-based games. These small programs don't have any real graphics to speak of. Let's see, we've got Basic Fun, which looks like games targeted at kids. Computer Monsters, I'm assuming these are games framed around different types of monsters. You gotta make these appeal to kids at the time, I suppose. Getting people comfortable programming and working with computers. Basic Computer Games. It's another collection of games, little cartoons inserted here and there. Machine Language for Beginners. Okay, so far all these other books are basically focusing on the language of BASIC, which is generally considered to be simple. Machine language gets you closer to the direct workings of the computer chips and the memory. And this is where you really have to start planning things and being a little more mathematical about certain items. This one's in really great shape, and I can't say I know too much about machine language, but I think it's interesting to try to learn something, so here we are. I also got How to Program Your Atari 6502 Machine Language. It's a smaller paperback. This is supposed to be an introduction. I might actually start with this one. And I also got a book called Atari Mapping. This one actually came in really good shape. It's going to take me some time to get through these books, but I find them fascinating. I've been working on the Commodore 64 lately, but I have been starting on BASIC, and that's been interesting so far. When I get a bit further through that, I'm going to start on this system a bit more. I mean, the Atari 800XL was kind of like the Commodore 64. It was an equivalent, sort of. It can use cassettes, cartridges, and discs, and of course, drives, disk drives if you have them. I already have a stack of cartridge games for the Atari line of computers, and they're going to run on this immediately. I showed some of them on an Atari 400 video I put up some time back. Some of these games are actually really pretty good. Well, that's all I have today for my Atari XL finds. I'm excited to get this new computer into the collection, and we'll see where it takes us. I gotta start loading some cartridges. Thanks for stopping by to take a look, and hope to catch you on another video.